Kia ora and welcome to the Itinerary. In today's episode, we will be concentrating on tourism skills, what they are, how you gain them, and how you should be using them to progress or find new roles. Now, there is this unfortunate myth in our society that tourism is an unskilled industry, but that couldn't be further from the truth. And I'm certain that my two guests for our first panel will absolutely back me up. Tony Lasky, General Manager of Industry Engagement at Service IQ, and Dylan Rushbrook, Co-founder of Tourism Talent. Kia ora. Thank you for joining me, gentlemen.
Kia ora, Megan.
Kia ora, Megan.
Oh, nice to see you both. Let's start by addressing that myth that tourism is unskilled. I mean, I can only presume that it stemmed from the fact that one doesn't have to have tertiary training to enter the industry. But what type of messaging are you both using to counter some of these ingrained negative perceptions?
The great thing with tourism is that you can enter the industry relatively unskilled and pick up a kete basket of skills along the way. And there's other people that are in the tourism industry that are highly skilled. They've come from other industries. Also within tourism, of course, you have specialists in finance, accountants, marketing people, and a huge range of kind of professions that also sit within tourism. So in terms of the level of skills, you've got right from entry level through to fully professional people.
Like Tony said, lots of people can enter. The barriers are low initially, and you don't need a big set of skills, and you can learn on the job. And that's certainly how I kind of started, and then I actually went back and did some training myself. One of the things I think that feeds into that you don't need to be skilled is the question around salaries and pay. There's this perception that tourism is low paid. Actually, as an executive recruitment company, we can tell you that's far from the truth. Probably 90% of the roles that we placed in the first 2 years were $120,000 salary or higher. And that's just one piece that adds into that. There's a focus, I guess, on a bigger, broader nature. We have tried to do a series of videos showing that tourism is much broader than the frontline roles that people generally think of, showing people who are behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned on-the-job training there, Dylan and Tony. At Service IQ, you focus on on-the-job training. What does this entail exactly? Are you upskilling people completely new to the workforce, or are you refreshing the skill sets of those who have been in the industry already? Just to give us an idea.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. At Service IQ, we are the standard setting body for the tourism qualifications. So we don't deliver the on-the-job training. That actually happens in the workplace. So it's very much earn while you learn. And the kind of qualifications in the tourism sector that you can get while you're working are largely level 3 and 4 qualifications on the NZQA framework. So we start with a program called Visitor Savvy, and Visitor Savvy covers things like health and safety, standard operating procedures, and customer service. And then you can move on to a level 3 qualification, which takes about 9 months. And that verification of your learning actually happens from your employer in the workplace. So things that get covered in there, customer service, multi-tourism as well. And if you progress onto a level 4 qualification, which takes around 15 months to do, it's quite in depth. And there's, a whole bunch of things in there which go more into the leadership side of things. So what we see in the tourism industry largely is people come in, they might be working as an operator in an attraction and then progress through to become team leaders, to become managers, and through their qualifications whilst they're on the job, they can pick up those leadership skills. So, by the time you've got to a level 4 qualification, you've got a huge range of skills that you can take with you if you leave the tourism industry, right through from, operations, which is the logistics side of things, obviously customer service, sales and marketing, all incorporated in that as well, through to, as I mentioned, rostering, finance, merchandising, and they're really valuable skills. And obviously, if you do the qualifications, they are NZQA qualifications, so they're recognised throughout New Zealand and abroad as well.
And Dylan, tourism talent primarily focuses on headhunting people on a management or executive level, bringing them into the tourism industry. Are there any specific skills that make someone really stand out from the crowd that would make you think they would be perfect for tourism? We need them. Let's go.
Look, I guess that's actually the beauty about tourism, right? There's a job for everyone. Every different personality type can find a role in tourism. Obviously, their skills will determine where they can fit within the sector. But what we find is every one of our clients, what they're predominantly up for or what they're interested in is a cultural fit. That's the most important thing. It's about finding someone who will fit into their team, into their values. It sounds pretty simplistic, but ultimately, if you're a good person and you can work well as part of a team, whatever your skills are, there will be a role for you in tourism.
So what would you say is required for our tourism industry in terms of those skill sets that is required to build that people connection within our industry?
Yeah, look, really, it's those soft skills, and that's something that you can't learn really in even in a school type environment, in a polytech type environment. It's something that you kind of learn on the job, you learn from others. And, manaakitanga, looking after our visitors, our whanaungatanga within the workplace as well, are really important concepts within tourism. And the one skill, that I see from the tourism industry that really is transferable is that the customer service, that caring about the customer. And recently with, COVID impacting the industry so much, there's been a huge number of people from the tourism industry that have been able to go into other roles that are customer-facing roles because they have those soft skills, which are just so important.
You deal with people, whether it's your colleagues or whether it's guest visitors on a daily basis, and you deal with very different people. I know the different workplaces I've worked in, even in behind the scenes roles, the diversity that you come interact with is amazing. You grow as a person. I guess probably what I've learned over time is that tourism people, you need to learn to be calm and you need to learn to be adaptable under pressure, because no day is ever the way you had it planned in tourism, and that can bring a lot of stress, but it's learning how you deal with that. And actually that also makes tourism people really good problem solvers, and I think that's why we've seen them be able to adapt into different, take their skills into different industries really well.
Tourism is an industry that people can build a lifelong career in. What skills and what factors are involved with that continued progression?
Yeah, look, and Dylan and I have both spent our careers in tourism and have progressed through from entry-level roles to what we do today. And I think one of the really important concepts, and we've kind of touched on it already, is continually learning and bettering yourself. You can start a job and just go to work and punch the time card and do your job, but the really important thing is to continue learning throughout. And so you learn while you're on the job, obviously, and having a mentor is something that I'd really encourage people to do. It's something that in my career has been hugely helpful, and I've had the privilege of being a mentor for others as well. But also doing some, credentialized or kind of external formal learning as well in conjunction with the learning that takes place on the job.
You never stop learning, right, Dylan?
No, you don't, and I completely endorse that. And in fact, that's exactly what I was going to say. You never stop learning, and I think I've had a 25-year career now, and I think probably in the last 24 months I've been on the biggest, steepest learning curve ever, and not just because of a global pandemic, but it's been fantastic, and you learn so much from the people that you were around and you surround yourself with. And again, as Tony said, get yourself a mentor, get yourself a couple, but also learn to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Often people will find something they're good at and they'll stay in that. that little zone, actually push yourself outside of it. And it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience. And it's a little bit cliche, but essentially if you're constantly looking to grow and grow as a person, grow as a leader, you'll go on to have a really good career.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And, you touched on the pandemic. Given the impact COVID-19 has had on tourism, sadly, there's been a lot of effort to redeploy tourism workers who are suddenly without a job. We all know many. And we've touched on it already, but what would you say are the key transferable skills that make tourism people great assets to other industries? And we know they're sought after people, that's for sure.
Yeah, sure. Look, I think the beauty of tourism is that you get such a broad skill base. You're not totally specialised in any one day, as Dylan said. You kind of prepare for what you think's going to happen, but a whole bunch of other things can happen as well. So those customer service skills are vitally important. And, sitting behind that is the sales and marketing side of things, which you get a lot of exposure to. Most tourism operations have retail. That might be cafes. It might be selling, T-shirts, all that sort of thing. So there's merchandising that's there as well. Of course, there's finance that you're dealing with too in your day-to-day roles often, and that operational logistics side of things. So I guess when you're looking at your CV, if you've been in a tourism role, it's actually bringing out all those skills and really highlighting everything that you've learnt while you've been in the tourism role.
As Tony said, it's things like teamwork, adaptability, dealing with pressure. And I think one of the things I first learned coming into the tourism sector was working to systems. It's probably not really well known, but even the most simplest task within frontline hospitality, there'll be a system and a check sheet and run sheets all that sit in behind that. So anyone who's coming out of tourism has got a lot of planning and problem solving capability behind them as well.
Tony, Dylan, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your insight. We look forward to seeing where we all head in the very near future, and I wish you and all of your teams and your families the very best. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Not me.
Thanks, Megan.
Next on the panel, I have Kate Godfrey of Madison Recruitment and Matt Stenton of Go With Tourism to talk to us about how people can prepare themselves for the eventual tourism rebuild. But first, let's check out our success story today. Andy Hazlitt of Mad Campers tells us how he used his people skills, negotiation skills, and those business skills to pivot his camper vanning business into a unique collaboration with another hurting industry, fruit picking.
G'day, I'm Andy Hazlitt. I'm the Managing Director of Mad Campers.
My name's Tim Jones. I'm CEO of the 45 South group of companies. We're cherry growers, we're cherry packers, and we're cherry marketers.
COVID-19's had a huge amount of impact on the business. Financially, it's been brutal. We think at this stage we're probably going to end up about 20 to 25% of last year. We were 96% international market prior to COVID, and that turned off like someone turning off a tap, literally overnight.
We air freight our fruit to the market. So if there's no tourists coming to New Zealand, there's no planes to take our fruit back to them.
There's also been a bunch of intangible challenges, things like culture and trying to manage the team.
Traditionally, we will employ as many Kiwis as possible, but also a whole lot of backpackers and a whole lot of RSE. With the backpackers not here and the RSE labour not here, we're having to think out of the square this year.
We've also had to completely revise our growth and market strategies and really look for opportunities in the new world as we focus on a domestic market for the foreseeable future.
When we were in level 4 and sitting at home wondering what on earth we were going to do for seasonal labour this year, we had contact from Mad Campers who were thinking exactly the same thing. What are we going to do with our camper vans this year if there's no tourists around?
We realised that very quickly that we needed to stop thinking about the vans as camper vans and start thinking about them as assets that might be able to solve someone else's solution. During lockdown, we did a huge amount of work marketing these vans as self-isolation units. 45 Degrees South guys gave me a call through lockdown and said, look, we're not interested in self-isolation, but come summer we've got a problem and we're keen to talk to you about potentially finding a way to collaborate, get your vans out on the road and build a channel for workers to come through and fill the gaps that we're now not going to have.
We thought seeking out a collaboration with Mad Campers was a really good way of having a conversation with a different cohort of workers that we haven't had in the past.
They needed a point of difference, and that point of difference was building an adventure into that working season and finding ways for Kiwis to really get excited about going and fruit picking this summer.
So that's pretty unique, to be able to offer, young New Zealanders, university students, do a backpacking experience around Central Otago in a camper van and earn a bit of money at the same time.
It's the best of both worlds. My advice to other tourism operators looking for collaborations is just be open.
I think there's a real opportunity for businesses in Central Otago who are looking to attract seasonal labour to collaborate with those in the tourist industry. It'll be a win-win for both. We're all suffering. The more we can do to attract some people to Central Otago, the more it's going to benefit both people. And if we can do that, if we can benefit our company by attracting some seasonal labour, we can benefit Mad Campers by getting them some bookings for the end of the year, then that's good.
It's Kiwis helping Kiwis and industry helping industry. There are so many industries with challenges that could be solved with partnerships from other industries.
We're going to have to think about how we share scarce resources.
Sharing staff, sharing vehicles, and finding ways to prop each other up as we got through the long, slow winter and head into what should be an exciting summer.
It's the only way we're going to get forward.
The market has shrunk considerably for the foreseeable future, but there's opportunity everywhere, even in a recession. In a way, and making sure that we're always keeping positive and glass half full, it's actually been quite a good thing. We've developed new revenue streams outside of Mad Campers. We've found ways to innovate, and we're actually upskilling our team. Ultimately, because of that, we'll end up in a stronger position. And look, if we can kind of move past the next 12 to 18, 24 months, the best thing about COVID is it's actually been New Zealand's best ever marketing tool. We've done such a good job, literally living a life that not many other countries around the world are living. We will become even more of a tourist destination, and that's got to be a good thing for tourism.
Tourism is expected to take another 2 to 5 years to fully recover. Ultimately, everything will depend on how the rest of the world manages the virus and when that vaccine will be created. Jobs in the industry are definitely lacking right now, but those who want to end up in tourism should not give up hope. Tourism is down, but we are definitely not out. And there are many things that you can do over the next couple of years to prepare yourself for a job in this fantastic industry. To help me share tips and tricks is our regular go-to for recruitment, Kate Godfrey, Senior Consultant at Madison Recruitment, and Matt Stenton, Program Director of Go With Tourism, both fantastic human beings who are doing amazing work in our tourism industry. Kia ora, welcome. Thank you both for joining me.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. I'm going to start with asking you both, what would be your advice for students who are currently studying and feeling uncertain about their job prospects after graduating?
I think one of the first things is to just remember you're not alone. There's a lot of really, really good people out there in the market at the moment looking for work. And a lot of these people, you know, they may have a lot of experience, or companies might be normally fighting over them in normal years. But there's a lot of jobs that are coming back up. Fewer jobs than usual, a lot more candidates than usual. So you're not alone in the market at the moment. My recommendation is having a job is better than not having a job, in my opinion. So particularly over the next 12 months or so, find opportunities, grab them, do what you can to build yourself up. Any skills that you can learn are good skills. There will be transferable skills. You know, there's no such thing as a wasted opportunity. And so it is really important that you can take what's out there, build yourself up, and know what your priorities are as well. You know, if you want to wait around for that dream job, that's cool, but just be aware that you might be waiting for a little while. So yeah, I would say just don't be too hard on yourself if you're struggling to get a foothold in the industry, but definitely keep your eyes wide open, searching for those opportunities that are out there.
I would say, first of all, congratulations. You've got to the end of a course, so that's a really big thing, especially in the midst of this pandemic. And then to echo what Kate's saying there, you know, if we look at Go With Tourism, we have a job search hub. We have over 100 jobs advertised on the back end of there right now, so you can sign up and we can help you find a role. But to echo what she's saying, you may not go straight into the role that you're wanting to do straight away. It could be that survival mode, or how do I go into a job for the time being that I find myself in where I can work myself up in? Or how do you find opportunities with some of the small operators that exist out there to actually bring in something that they may not have? And that could be social media, it could be domestic marketing expertise, it could be even helping out with some HR background if that's what you'll study. But there are some opportunities. The good thing is there are some jobs out there. There's not a lot, but there are some jobs, and they are starting to come back out on the rise. And there's some real unique opportunities to really do things differently in this climate, and that's exciting.
And for those who don't have a lot of work experience, what advice can you give them that would make them more employable when the industry actually will bounce back?
Yeah, I think first of all, remember you've got a whole range of transferable skills. People call them soft skills, but transferable skills that you can already bring into the industry. And that could be from before your time of study, or if you worked before, or if you're working in tourism and now you have your qualification. You have a real abundance of skill set that you can bring forward, which is really exciting. So that's the first thing to recognize and take out there. The second thing is, if you're struggling to get into any form of work integrated learning placement or volunteership, we at Go With Tourism run our Pledge of Placement program. You can jump online to gowithtourism.co.nz, tell us what you're looking for, and we will actually assist you with finding the perfect volunteer or internship for you to get you into that. The other side is, don't be scared to remember that there's only 1 degree of separation in New Zealand. We're a very, very small country. Go door knocking, get into your LinkedIn, tap on those shoulders and start saying, hey, I'm here to help you. And I'm sure those 80 to 90% small to medium operators out there who are in tourism would love to hear from you and support you.
Oh, I'm telling you, I want to jump on board too. Kate?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, what Matt's saying about building your own opportunities and sort of, maybe going to companies and showing them how you can help them out rather than waiting for them to recognise their need is also something that, that people can approach. The other thing is that any opportunities that you are lucky enough to have or that you do get, grab them. New Zealand is small, and as Matt said, 1 degree of separation over here. So it is really important that you start managing your reputation right from the get-go, and that you build yourself up, you prove yourself, and do those little extras. Those, there's so many courses and things online as well, free things, free networking events, all that kind of thing that you can utilize, and that certainly can't do any harm, and can only do some good for you to be able to build up your reputation and start getting in there.
Oh, I totally agree with you, Kate. And we know that many organisations had to cancel contractors and our temp workers from agencies when this COVID hit. Is the demand for temps coming back? Is this a viable option for job seekers over the next couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that the market is starting to pick back up. There's definitely fewer roles available than there normally would be at this time of year, but there are more, it's starting to get there again. So after the initial shock, I think a lot of companies are really in the stage now where they're able to reassess, regroup, and really start to strategically think about their recruitment moving forward. We found that projects that were initially, that were put on hold, they're starting to pick back up again as well. So it's getting warmer. Still not quite a hot market, but we are moving there. And of course, I'm a big advocate of temping. I've done a lot myself. And I think that it gives its own benefits. So if you're temping, tends to move quite quickly. So literally we have jobs that will start within 24 hours. So if you are available now and you want to, you're ready to get in there, then temping can be a really good option to move quickly and to start getting into roles quickly. I also noticed that people find it a bit easier to move up in organisations when you're temping as well, because you might do a 3-month, role, and then another opportunity comes along, and you can take all of these skills that you learned in that 3 months and move them into this other opportunity, and just keep building and building. And we get career temps. We get people who will do a number of roles with us across different companies, sometimes for 3 or 4 years. So it really can be a good career move as well. I just think that temping teaches you a lot of things that maybe, particularly if you're not quite sure where you want your career to go long term, doing a 6-month role enables you to, really be able to sink your teeth into something, but without having to commit to, a really long-term, heavy job. And then the other thing is, of course, if you love that role and then they, it might turn into a permanent position. You're there, you're doing it, you're in the best place, you know the people. Yeah, lots of great opportunities.
And Matt, you mentioned soft skills before and just how important they are. Now, are there any particular skills sought after in our tourism industry that job seekers should start working on now?
Well, I suppose, we come straight back to what we always say when we talk about tourism, we talk about Kiwis as people. We always use the Māori saying, hey tangata, hey tangata, hey tangata, it's the people, it's the people, it's the people. So first of all, we need the people. We need more Kiwis, or those people who are entitled to work here in New Zealand, to take opportunities up in tourism if they exist. And that starts from soft communication skills. It comes from customer recovery. So, if you can't get straight away into a job in tourism, but there's some of the skill sets that you need, then go out and seek them otherwise. There's other areas where you can go and do them, and other places that you can go do them. Get those, key principles underhand, and then go out and apply them in the industry. I think that soft skills, I call them life skills or transferable skills. People don't realize how many they actually have. So if you're a young person and you're watching this and you're like, I've only been to school and then I've been to university, what you haven't taken into consideration is actually the skills that you already have. Did you used to play sports? What did you play when you played at sports? Were you centre? Were you captain? So therefore you've got leadership, you've got discipline, you've got time management. And then when you go into university, once again, you develop a whole range of different skills. So those skills are really, really important, and they become life skills that will put you in good stead for the next job that you apply for.
Oh, I hear you through and through. And Kate, do you have anything more to add in terms of that life skills, transferable skills, soft skills?
Yeah, I was going to say I really like referring to them as life skills rather than soft skills. And I think also, especially in 2020, flexibility, adaptability, resilience, these kinds of things are really what will set you apart as well. And they get recognised. And it's positive both for the organisation that you're working for, but also for you as well. If you know that you are skilled in, you're adaptable, you're flexible, and you are skilled in resilience, then it makes your job a bit more enjoyable as well. So I think those are really important things to look at.
Now, Matt, as someone who works closely with tourism employers, what kind of things do you think they would hope to see in cover letters, CVs, when the industry does start fully recruiting again? You talk about doing things differently. Give us some tips there.
Yeah, I think you're going to learn to sell yourself differently in this climate, and that is selling what you've got on offer. If you've worked hard to get a degree or a certificate or a diploma, whatever qualification, sell that qualification. But with that, bring those life skills into it. You are a great communicator. You are a great active listener. You've got great time management skills. You're great leadership. So bring that in. There is, and I'm sure Kate will back me up on this, you should do a cover letter and make it. So each ever job that you apply for, they're definitely tailored for that one job. Don't do the stock standard, this is my cover letter and I'll send that to 100 people. Trust me, as an employer, the moment you see it, you can see it straight off the rank. So make sure that cover letter speaks to the position you're applying for, and the people. Let them know that you've done your research, you understand about their business, but also you've got something that they need and want.
I am going to ask you for that last couple of final words there. Kate, what was that one tip that you would give in terms of cover letter or CV?
Keep it basic. Just do the basics right. If you've got an employer that's looking through 200 CVs, you want to make yourself easy to look at. You want to be, you want them to be able to read it and just go, oh yeah, cool, they meet all my criteria. As Matt said, definitely with the cover letter, cater it to the person, cater it to the job, show that passion coming through. That is going to make you stand out as really showing that bit of personality coming through. And that could come through also volunteer work that you do, how you word your cover letter. Tell them why you want this job, what it means to you to get this job, and that's really going to make a difference.
Matt, Kate, kia ora, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan, that was fantastic.
And that's it for this week. Don't forget to join us next week when we will be discussing entrepreneurs. I look forward to chatting with you all again, same place, same time. Haere rā.